You're listening to the Gab Street Podcast, Columbus, Ohio's #1 podcast for underground talent. Every week we have new conversations with interesting individuals who contribute to the Columbus economy and its lively culture. You may find just what you're looking for right in your backyard. Let's get right into it. Do some podcast ad-libs. We haven't had them in a while, dude. Mask ad-libs, bro.
I think Luke should do ad-libs.
Luke should do ad-libs?
Yeah, Luke, you're good at ad-libs.
Luke, give me some ad-libs, bro. Yo, that was like, I can't even do that.
Yeah, that was
pretty decent. I respect that, dude.
Yeah,
that's work right there.
Thank you, Cory.
No problem, brother. And if you in the audience recognize that masked voice back there, that is from episode 5. Luke Chiocca.
What?
Yo! He has made the return. He's finally back after 76 weeks.
It has been a while.
It's been a year and a half since he's been on the show. Isn't that not insane?
You know, when we appeared on episode 5, I had no idea it was Gab Street was going to become this, bro. I don't think you did.
Become what, Aaron?
Become the worst show in Columbus.
Man, when we were on episode 5, like, I never knew that it was going to get this shitty.
You know, I thought the Gab Street had potential, but 76 weeks later, I don't know what I'm doing.
And that's why we're here, folks. That's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
We're doing the Lord's work right now. This is right. It's been 76 weeks since you guys have been on. I mean, you've been on, obviously, but not in this capacity.
Yeah.
So Luke, what has happened since then for you?
Well, a lot. For one, last time I kind of made my appearance, I was doing a lot of hip-hop type stuff, either producing for people or for myself. Mm. And now the main bulk of the work I do is film composition, so advertisements, short films, movies, video games, what have you, any medium that requires music like that. So,
do you still do any hip-hop style work as recently?
I do, and my plan is to release an EP by the end of this year.
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
And my plan is to release an EP by
an EP?
Yes.
When is that going to come out?
December.
December. Okay.
Don't have a specific release date, but December. Right. Of just hip-hop songs mainly, you know?
Yeah. It's going to be really cool because Luke won't even let me hear it. So if Luke's not letting me hear it, I know that it's going to be good.
Okay. Are you getting MCs on it, or is it all instrumentals?
No, it was just going to be me rapping.
Oh, it's you on it?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. All right.
I think, my lyric writing and beat production has majorly increased since, I guess it has been a year and a half since I've released any hip-hop, so, kind of a fresh outlet for music. Yeah.
Sweet. That's exciting, man.
Thank you.
And so most of that composition that you've been doing for, short films, commercials and such, that's been a lot under Fiverr freelancing. Is that correct?
It has been, yeah. So for those who don't really know, I do freelancing through a service called Fiverr, which is basically you can search for, they call it talent, like film composition or video editing, and you'll see a bunch of names. And they have a portfolio and contact info. And when people contact, me, you can see my credentials, you can see my YouTube, you can ask questions, and then place an order. And there's packages like basic, middle of the road, and then premium. And work has really been good there. I've been getting a lot of short films, video games, all that kind of jazz.
And last time I checked, it was a solid 5.0. A 5-star rating. Has anything changed? You're still 100% 5 stars, right?
Yeah. And so the way Fiverr does ratings is when you're done with an order, you're not required but requested to rate your experience out of 5 stars, like communication from the seller and all that jazz. So still 5 stars and going.
Yeah, my boy's professional. He's really been up in his game on Fiverr. I think that the responses he's getting really show what kind of work he's putting into it.
Yeah.
Sure. I concur. All the work that I've heard that you've done recently has been very impressive. And
thank you.
One aspect of it is that I feel like it has a level of professional execution that sounds like you've received classical education in music, and I was curious as to if you have actually.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that comment. So, as for formal education, my only formal education is actually I got an associate's degree at Columbus State for computer science.
I'm working on that right now.
Awesome. Awesome.
Not computer science, but, you know.
Yeah, and I've never taken any formal classes in music, actually. It's learning YouTube and stuff, although I do use Udemy. Taking a piano and music theory course right now, so...
Nice.
But all of my work has just been through my past experience, because I have played, say, for my church before and stuff, and I've had guitar experience and now piano. And so no formal education, really. But I do know music theory.
Okay. That's impressive with and with the plugins that you've been purchasing for use FL, right?
Yes.
Okay, so getting stuff like what are some examples of some plugins that you've bought that have helped you out?
Well, Isotope, Neutron 3, for example, that's basically a channel strip. It has like an equalizer, a compressor, an exciter, all that, but it's all in one, and they can talk to each other. So like, if I have a piano and a violin, I can kind of use what's called masking. So it shows the frequencies juxtaposed with the violin and piano, so you can cut or boost to make them fit. And I also use like Ozone 8 by Isotope and plugins like that. Contact I use a lot.
Yeah, I think Isotope's probably one of the best brands we've found so far, right?
Oh yes, very professional, very effective, great user interface.
Yeah, we were on Waves back in the day.
Yeah.
And Waves is great, but
They are.
It's like Waves is like going to Walmart. You just have everything. Some of it's good, some of it's bad.
That's savage.
Isotope is more like going to Guitar Center or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can only see what Luke's become, but I've seen Luke from the start, and it's crazy to see how he's gone from making trash beats. Because I remember all his trash beats. Nobody else remembers Luke's trash beats. But...
And they are trash.
Boy. Yeah. You've come a long way, bro. I'm proud of you.
And by the way, Corey, I did want to add, because you were asking about formal education and all that. I'm a very hardworking and self-driven person, I'd say. So if I want to do something, I'll do it. I'll set aside time. If I have a free day, to me it's not a free day. It's a day to wake up and learn something new, to finish up projects, maybe to reach out to some of my clients. Just say, hey, how you doing today? Not even business. Don't make it business related. Just literally say like, hey, I hope you and your family are doing well.
And that is not an exaggeration. Honest to God, Luke is probably one of my biggest inspirations when it comes to like work ethic and discipline.
Thank you.
You're really good at that. You've always been. I remember even back when you were like, I don't know, like 13, 14, whatever you put your mind to, you always end up getting good at it. Whether that be chess, whether that be Smash Bros. Yep. Luke is a beast, man.
Well, thank you, Aaron. I appreciate that. So yeah, I think that's mainly all I wanted to say. But you know, if you have gear and you don't think it's good, someone who has less than you is working harder, and they're gonna be better than you because you're not working. You know. So,
exactly. Yep.
So I really like, I know this word has a bad connotation usually attached to it when I talk to people, but I like to hustle, I like to get stuff done. I like to have a sense of urgency. If you don't give yourself a sense of urgency, you probably won't get the work done.
But your eggs are not all in the music production basket per se.
Yes.
Other eggs are in the YouTube basket.
That is correct.
And all of those plugins that you've been talking about, not all of them, but a lot of them have been featured on the channel and have been teaching people how to use them. And frankly, personally, I'm impressed with the production value of your YouTube videos, and I wanted to ask what inspired you to start that up.
That's an awesome question. Thank you for that. So when I started my YouTube channel, I started it with the intention of people they're in the same situation. Either I'm in, I will be, or I have been. And when I first started, I'm not saying pity me, but I didn't really have a ton of help. It was like YouTube is how I learned everything, or like random forum threads. And if I had an issue and I tried searching it, more often than not, I didn't find a direct answer. So I try to make my videos short, sweet, and to the point, and I like to make them educational and niche. Like, oh, this specific contact error keeps happening, and I don't see a video anywhere else, so I make a video on it. But I guess to answer your question, my intention was just to really help musicians, especially those starting out, but any level. Just because I actually have people on Instagram contacting me too, like, hey man, this happened, I can't find out how to record in FL Studio, then I'll record a quick video and send it, and they're appreciative. I know they are.
Cool. That's awesome. I didn't know you had people hitting you up on the DMs.
Yeah, I do, and from all over. I think one guy's from India.
Hey, that's awesome.
And yeah, thank you, but I can tell he's just starting out. All he has is a laptop and no studio monitors even. But it's awesome to be able to help people.
Yes, any aspiring producers out there, you need studio monitors. I didn't realize this at first, but Luke finally convinced me to make the jump and buy myself professional grade studio monitors, and oh my god, my mixes are 100% better, instantly as soon as I got those.
And here I am still sticking with bookshelf speakers. So,
but you don't need music. It's
no, I don't need studio monitors.
You know what? These are trash. Let's get on another podcast. This setup, dude, it's so unprofessional. What are you doing? You don't even have studio monitors.
Shout out to Mike Ralston, who contributed monetarily to the purchase of these speakers. Very nice, very nice.
Shout out.
They have been probably the best purchase I've ever made. Not sponsored by Edifier at all. Reach out, Edifier, if you want. But
they are some good speakers.
Just gonna rep those
Not
speakers
gonna lie,
real quick.
there's some good speakers.
They're pretty tasty. They're pretty spicy, in my opinion. They get the job done. Now, these speakers are pretty unique among their craft. You are unique among producers and composers.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask, see, you know this because you're a fan of yourself in a good way. You respect the work that you do.
I do.
It's always good.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the place to brag. So I wanted to ask what you think makes you unique among producers and or composers, both in Columbus and in general.
Sure, thank you for that question. By the way, to go along with what you were saying, you said, you're a fan of yourself. Guys, aspiring music producers, if you're not a fan of yourself, how do you expect others to be, So,
exactly, yep.
So I love that, Cory.
Just gotta respect yourself, man.
And so the question was, what makes me unique from other producers and composers? Well, I would say my versatility. I mean, I've scored video games, feature film. I produce hip hop. I've produced hip hop for even Aaron. Mm-hmm. I can do Cuban. I can do Japanese. I can do, you name it. Epic, sad.
So yeah, epically sad.
Epically sad.
Man, Luke has been showing me some of the projects he's working on. Like, there's this one where you should talk about the one you did for the movie podcast intro music, because that was I remember that was difficult for you. What was that sound they were going for?
Yeah, so I got a request once from I believe someone from the UK, and they had a podcast they wanted an intro song, just to be 15 seconds, and the way he described it was great. I just had no experience. He said, I want to seem like you're going into the British cinema, you're sitting down getting your seats, and it's like the show's about to start. And again, that kind of British type music I never...
super specific.
It is super specific. Not only
British cinema fanfare.
Exactly. Thank you. That's
interesting. Okay.
And I'd never done something like that, and that type of music is not my music. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking in the back of my mind, come on, man, this will be the one time I get a 2-star review, this guy's never going to come back. But I spent all my time, I tried my best, sent it to him as a preview. He's like, well, that sounds great. I can't wait to hear the final mix. Sent it to him, and, lo and behold, he left a great review. He's like, working with this guy's awesome. He heard my needs and delivered the best project, better than I could have imagined. I was really appreciative. So
it's so hard to describe what it sounds like, but you nailed it.
Thank you.
Some of the instruments you used really reminded me of, this is an obscure reference.
Sure.
But the Spy from Team Fortress 2. His theme song. It kind of reminded me of that.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm. But, so you can do something like that, but you'll also make someone a hip hop beat, or you'll even like do some music for a Minecraft server. You've done something like that before, like video game type. You've made music for app developers too, haven't you?
Yeah, working on that now, and also Roblox.
Yeah, Roblox games.
So,
yeah, anything.
Huge
man.
community there. Yeah.
What? So, I'm so curious because I haven't
Yeah.
actually looked. What kind of rates are you charging for these jobs? Does it really depend?
It does depend, but my rates on Fiverr are just rock bottom. So, and by the way, I've had people like, oh, well, I can't pay that much, but for the quality of music, in my opinion, it's rock bottom. So for like 45 seconds or like a minute, it starts off at $50.
Okay.
For 3.5 minutes, it gets significantly cheaper. It's only $120, and then for 5 minutes, $160. If you want more than 5 minutes, or if we're not, really using Fiverr, my rule of thumb is $50 per minute of finished music. I don't like to charge by the hour of what I work because I've had projects literally take more than 24 hours of just sitting at that monitor and doing work. But then I've also had them take 2 hours. So there's some ballparks, but it depends on the project.
Okay.
So usually $50 per minute of finished music, which again, that's half or less of what other composers charge.
Yeah, that's really decent, actually.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. So listeners, hit him up before he hikes it up because he's getting
Yep.
the increased clientele.
I'm surprised Luke hasn't raised his price yet. Cause
Yeah, honestly, I think you need to.
Well, you know what?
Like 75 per minute, honestly.
Yeah, no, and I think you're right, Corey. But as I was saying for my YouTube channel, I want to help those who are just starting out and those who are beginning, because I know not everyone can afford 75 per minute of finished music.
Here's what I think you should do. Here's my little pitch here.
Okay.
Stick with the 50. Go for a Shark Tank deal where you're doing like a percentage of if they make money off of the project that they're using your music in.
Royalties and stuff.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea.
I think that would be a respectable decision to make.
Yeah.
Or at least make it negotiable with the person. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like not like a straight up like, oh, 15%. Like it's, you know what I mean? But
well, yeah, and all my prices, they're already negotiable. Like if someone's like, I've actually had people bargain, like, hey, I know you're asking 120, but could you do 100? And then, okay, how about we meet in the middle at 110, just... So I'm definitely open to reasoning, but like you said, it might be a good idea to royalties or something like that.
Would you sell one really well-composed, great-sounding note for $1?
I mean, sure.
That's hilarious.
It's like the Eric Andre episode where they were like, and we hired pop legend whoever, but we could only afford one note. He's just standing there preparing, and and then it's over.
Yeah. I mean, again, if you want that for your project, sure, but and I know that's kind of like
You're taking it seriously.
It's like a rhetorical question, but hypothetical.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
I want it to be a G chord.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We can make it work. Yeah.
G chord.
Actually, though, no, that does make sense, because what if you have like an intro to a YouTube channel and you just want like
Actually, yeah.
Just that. So no, that's perfectly reasonable, actually.
$1 though.
But again, it depends on your application.
$1 a low gets you one note. You should charge by the note, though.
Oh my god.
Charge by the chord.
Projects would cost thousands. No joke.
Oh man, that's funny. So you've been getting a lot of work. It sounds like it's been going okay, and I'm curious as to. I mean, we're all wearing masks at the moment.
Sure.
How has COVID impacted your craft, if at all?
Well, I would say good and bad.
Okay.
Good because a lot of people are now starting their own podcasts because they can't leave.
Mm-hmm. We're trapped in the podcast world. I know how that is.
No, and it's not just podcasts. It's YouTube channels. It's short films. It's video games.
Mm-hmm.
People are starting this stuff. So in that way, it's been good. But it's also been bad because, big name companies, or not even big name, just aren't meeting in person because they can't. So, it's been up and down, but since I work from home, which is awesome, it has not personally affected me as much as it has other people, which I'm really grateful for.
That's cool. That's good to hear. I'm glad.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we've also been fortunate to be able to continue doing these
Awesome.
in-person interviews because
Yeah.
Masks work and people should wear them.
Somebody-
Not a political statement. Anyway.
Fucking communists. Dude, those Discord interviews were rough.
They were.
For a couple of them, it was like, oh.
Yeah. Now, let me be real. I'm going to keep it real with you, Chief. Like, the audience, if you listen through those quarantine episodes, I'm sorry. It's like, it just was not as good of work.
Just technically, like, the internet connection was iffy at times.
Yeah.
I believe, didn't we do, like, a cell data episode?
We did. We had to record an episode because my internet was so bad that I had to use my phone hotspot for a little bit.
Yeah.
That was a rough one. I think, was that Co-op? Did we do that with Co-op?
Yeah, I was so tempted to be playing video games during the interview, though, but I was like, no, I have to be professional.
Man, I knew that I'd have to go back to in-person, like as soon as possible, as soon as Co-op hit that blunt.
Yeah.
As soon as Co-op started coughing on episode 65, I was like, all right, I need to get back in person. Like, no disrespect, Co-op. I love you, dude, but you hit a blunt mid-episode. It was really funny, and I'm including it in the montage later this year.
Hell yeah.
Episode 100 is going to be a best of compilation.
Yeah, smoking big doints in the Gab Street
Amish.
studio.
Yes, in Gab Street Amish.
Big doinks in Gab Street Amish.
Bro. Alright, Luke.
Yes.
I have more questions. Don't worry, we won't goof off for the rest of the episode. We're about 20 minutes in. Cool. Here's the question that I'm anticipating the answer taking up most of the rest of the episode for.
Okay.
You like explaining things.
I do.
Especially on your YouTube channel. You've explained a few things to me. You're pretty good at explaining things. It's pretty easy to understand. What are some concepts in production, in music production, and composing that are not understood by the general public that you think should be?
That is a great question. Well, number one, I'm sure people do not understand this, but communication. That's like the number one thing. If people are trying to explain things to you and they don't really know what they're talking about, it's really hard for me to nail that vibe.
That's a different route than I was expecting you to take.
It took us like 6 months to a year before we could really like get a good sort of communication going. Because when you're in the studio, I feel like a lot of it has to do with like, I don't know, like talking in imagery and metaphor, right?
It depends. Some people are specific, some are big idea.
Yeah, I guess it varies. I'm the type of person where I'm in the studio with Luke, I want to be like, yo, give me a muddy 808 and give me an alien spaceship noise on top of that. But like, honestly, that communication, I would agree, that's such a big thing.
Well, yeah, and the reason I bring this up, Corey, is because there are some people. Well, let's go to the traditional movies real quick. Like Jaws, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, all of them.
Right.
John Williams composed for all of those. And the reason he was able to make such a great score is because the directors, George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, were able to bring the best out of him by describing exactly what they wanted. In the case of Jaws, I'm not sure if you're familiar, Steven Spielberg and John Williams sat down at a piano. And John Williams is like, hey, I think it should go like this, like, duh, 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 duh. He played the melody, and Steven Spielberg's like, are you kidding? It's like, it's got to be more orchestral. John Williams is like, well, of course. But the truth of the matter is, Steven Spielberg didn't know what he wanted. But until John Williams could prove that it was the right music, it wouldn't have worked, basically.
So now we have that today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Star Wars, oh man. Some of the cast was in tears because of how beautiful the music was. They didn't expect it, but... So I think communication's huge, that not everybody understands. Number two...
That goes for people in general, I think.
That is true.
Most people in the world, I think, have a lot of trouble communicating.
That is very true.
Yeah.
You could have the best idea in the world, but if you can't properly articulate or communicate it, it means nothing. So, I would say number two is the mixing process, mixing and mastering. And when I say mixing, just so you guys know, I'm not talking about instruments. I mean volume levels, I mean equalization, I mean side chaining, if anyone here knows what that is. All these production techniques, because yes, you have a beautiful piece of music, but if you can't bring the best out in it, it literally will change the emotional impact that music brings. So I would say that's a number 2. You know, like making sure the low end is impactful but not too much. Making sure the high end is crisp and clear. And then just making sure instruments don't mute each other, or I should say like, you know, muddy each other up. And so...
Yeah, because you're dealing with, when you're mixing, you're dealing with frequencies. Like,
yes.
breaking it down to a science. It's just, as we were talking like a day ago, like 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, or more so 18,000 hertz.
That's a human hearing range.
Yeah. But those are the frequencies you're dealing with, and you need to find a space for each instrument to primarily dominate those frequencies. Wouldn't you agree with that description?
Yes, I would. So actually, half of the mixing is done in the composition. If you have like basses, cellos, violas, a violin, it'll go well because it's low, you know, high, medium, low, medium, and then low. But if you have 10 808s, man, it doesn't matter how good you are, you can't get that to sound good. Yeah. So half of the mixing is in the composition.
Yeah.
So that's a good point.
Actually, you know what? Can we elaborate on that? Because that's something I'm just coming to terms with. Half of the mixing is the composition.
Sure.
Like, something it took me a while to realize is I need to find a kick that doesn't clash with the 808. Like, before then, I was just using any old kick and any old 808 without even thinking about how they would sit together. So what are some techniques that you use to find sounds that work together before you even mix them?
Great question. What I like to do is start with a melody. And when I start with the melody, I can find what drums tonally sound good. Because whether you realize it or not, every sample you play has a different frequency response. You know, some are higher than others. And, you know, with modern software, you can change the frequencies, aka pitching it up or down, or otherwise known as... Oh, that's what I said. Okay. But you have to... I like to get my melody down and then pick the sounds, because the frequencies can kind of slip into each other, fill the cracks, in other words. And as I said, be very careful about how many bass instruments you have, and mid and high. And, you know, if it's a hip-hop song, make sure you're leaving room for vocals. The instrumental itself might sound a little empty, but that's fine because you add vocals.
Do you generally look at what range of frequency do you use to leave space for the vocals?
I would say between 1 to 4K. If you go higher than 4K, that's kind of like your top end, you know, the sheen, the high, which is great, but 1 to 4K. And if you have instruments occupying that range, by the way, that's fine.
That's interesting. I actually generally sort of do like 4K to 7K, but maybe I should try out 1 to 4.
And as I said, that's great for the high part, but for the real body of a voice, 1 to 4K, I would say. But it's also worth noting you can equalize, you know, remove frequencies. If you have instruments in the 1 to 4K range, that's fine. Just EQ them a little, you know, cut a little frequencies. Make room for the vocals.
Yeah.
That's all.
Wow. Cool.
I feel like I'm listening to the Library of Alexandria at the moment.
I'm sorry.
I did not understand a single bit of that.
Hopefully someone does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got to realize this is not super technical.
This isn't for me. Actually, this is great for the people that listen to this show, because they're going to know what you're talking about.
Actually, Cory, let me just say, I would love to have an episode if I you know, may return someday, where it's a little more technical.
Never again. No, I'm just kidding.
Because I do love explaining technical stuff, because as I said, I think number 2 that was just super important.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we can talk about that for sure.
Awesome.
What was your number 3? Did you just go through number 3, or did you not get to it yet?
No, that was number 2. Was the mixing.
Was number 2. Okay, cool.
Yes, number 1's communication, 2 mixing, and these don't go in any order specifically.
Yeah.
3, kind of along the same lines as composition. So here's something I heard that when I heard it, it was like, oh wow, that's so true. People don't care if you know like a ton of music theory, like, oh, you know, minor harmonic scales and adding harmony notes, and people don't care about that. At the end of the day, all they care about is, does it fit and does it sound good?
Okay.
So knowing music theory, guys, for those of you contemplating, should I learn music theory, should I not, is awesome for a starting point in understanding scales and are notes in the scale, are you allowed to play this? But at the end of the day, nailing the vibe is more important than being technically impressive. But if you nail the vibe, it will be technically impressive.
If you've listened to Gab Street in the past, you know that the show is dedicated to showing off awesome Columbus culture. Now we're putting not only our voices forward, but a helping hand. Through the summer of 2020, Gab Street will be collaborating with Ravenshood Music Group to create the Columbus Creatives COVID Grant. This grant is a fundraising initiative aimed toward helping creatives in Columbus who have been impacted financially by the COVID crisis. We will be accepting applications through Saturday, August 15th, and we will be accepting funds through August 31st. Voting will take place during those 16 days. You can find links to the donation pages and how you can apply in the description of this episode. Now back to the show.
You got me thinking about that song we made the other day.
Yeah, you want to tell the story, or should I?
Bro, me and Luke were in the studio, and we were talking about how, I used to make beats before I knew music theory. And we were thinking, but
wait, that wasn't it. We also talked about how so many big-name producers, Metro Boomin, for example, doesn't really know music theory, right?
Can you confirm that? I actually can't confirm that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cannot confirm nor deny.
He said in an interview, I don't know music theory.
Well, okay. I don't want to pick on him. I was going to say, I don't want to pick on him specifically. I've seen these producers work. And there's Kyle Beats. Do you guys know Kyle Beats?
I think so.
That name sounds familiar.
Yeah, YouTube producer. There's Servita Music. He has proven skills of, I know music theory. I've seen him. He'll be like, this note is not in the scale of G, or this note's not in the scale of D. And I've seen Zaytoven example for producing, and that he's smart.
Zaytoven, though, he knows his music.
Exactly.
Theory. Yeah, that guy is. Zaytoven is an apt name because that guy on the keys is.
Exactly, he is. So, sorry, Metro Boomin, for picking you up. Forget that I even said his name. I'm just saying.
Yeah, in general.
Don't put my name in your mouth.
No. In general, though.
Yeah.
A lot of these big name producers don't know music theory, and that was the premise for this beat.
Yeah, so we started messing around on piano, and I picked a D, and I was like, bing, bing, and then I hit a G, and I was like, bing, 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 and we made a beat in 5 minutes, and then rapped over. I'll show you after the episode's over. It's really funny.
Yeah. Okay. I'm down to hear that. That
yeah,
sounds fun.
But the thing is, it's very easy to make a beat that goes hard in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Without knowing music theory. You just need to know a few basic things. But yeah, music theory is, I guess the whole point of this is music theory is essential but not necessary.
I feel like essential has the same connotation as necessary.
Yeah.
It's definitely a booster seat for what you're doing, but it's not you can still ride in the car.
Oh, sure, yeah.
If it's not there.
Yeah.
If that foundation is not there, it just might take a little bit longer to get acclimated to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because I imagine if you have a background in music theory already, it's easy to adapt that knowledge to the scaling of FL Studio and such, where you already know the ins and outs. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you don't have that background, you're going in FL Studio, you're figuring it out by ear as you go along.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
which is still a valid way.
Without music theory, it's kind of like trying to paint something while colorblind.
Well,
okay.
let me put it this way, guys. If you don't know music theory, like you said, Corey, sometimes you kind of guess around. Mm-hmm. I noticed what it really helps with is communicating. So whether that's with other producers or if you're just making a basic idea, if you've no foundation, like Aaron said, it's you're starting from just your ears.
That is true. Our communication went so up as soon as I started learning music theory.
Yeah.
Because before I was just can you make it sound like bling, bling, bling?
Sure, yeah.
And after that I was like, hey, give me a melody G major, por favor.
So what's the technical term for gangster rap in music theory? How do you describe a gangster beat when you're talking about...
Simple. Probably. Yeah. Wouldn't you say the most... I don't know. It all depends.
Just like a hard-hitting, like, street corner
I'm gonna
Davies
I'm gonna
kinda-
defer to Luke on this. What would you consider the elements of trap music to you?
I've noticed dark melodies,
Yeah, dark melody.
Yeah.
minor chord progressions as
Mhm.
opposed to major.
Yep.
Specifically harmonic minor, which has a sharp before the root note, and so that makes it sound. I don't know if this adjective's gonna make sense, but it makes it sound like savage. You know, it's like
I know what you
No,
mean.
yeah.
Yeah.
it's like you're in the zone.
a little
now.
sinister.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
All right. That's cool.
Yeah, so that's how I would say.
All right. Do you have a number 4, or do you want to move on?
If I think of any more, I'll
Let me know.
I will let you know.
Cool. What are some horror stories you've had with freelance clients?
Okay, so I have the privilege of saying I have not had awful horror stories like some directors and composers have, because as I was telling you, I listen to this podcast called Blockbuster. You know, it's about George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, James Cameron, all those huge name directors and their horror stories. Luckily, mine have not been that bad yet, but I have had some minor ones I'd like to share. So, number 1. These guys were making a dark comedy, right? And you know, already dark comedy is not my main thing. But they kept asking these requests, like, oh yeah, we want a comedic but like dark sound. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's doable. That's a little weird. But
Can I title this episode, Luke Chiocca Does Not Like Dead Baby Jokes?
No. I mean, unless you really want to.
No, I'm not going to.
Dead baby jokes. That went over my head.
But I guess what kind of kept happening is I would compose something, and they're like, oh, well, we like this. Okay, we like the second part, but we don't like the first. So then I change the first, and then, you know what, actually go back. And then I go back. Actually, we changed our mind. Do this. And the thing is, at the time, I had like 3 or 4 revisions allowed per order. Which, by the way, you can purchase more, but that just came with it, right?
Yeah.
I realized that's way too many because people would kind of, use me for work and all.
Oh my god, I'm so dumb. I just got your joke.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Good one,
Thank you for
Cory.
validating that.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So I've
Continue.
changed. So because of this, I've changed it to 1 revision. And specifically, they hit me with. There was a scene where in the film they're talking about insurance fraud or something. And
That's dark.
It is. It is. And they hit me with, we want something that's sad but funny. Okay, the problem with that is that those are like opposites. Like, how do you... Cory, I'm not joking when I say that had me stuck for like a couple days, even just thinking like, can I even think of a song that's sad and funny?
Do you want to know the first thought that came in my head when you said that?
Yes.
The Price is Right losing horn.
I'm not familiar.
Dun, 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 burn. You know what I'm talking? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. See, I've only seen that a few times, but that specific jingle I'm not familiar with, but yeah.
But like sad but funny sounds to me like a lot of brass and just like lumbering tubas and trombones.
Yeah.
Where it's like, haha, look at this sad idiot. Like that's what it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's actually
That's what I hear.
Yeah.
What did you end up going with?
Okay, so initially what I did was a double, upright bass ensemble, as a,
Okay. Yeah.
but playing pizzicato, so like plucking the string with your finger.
I like that.
Yes, and then I also had a solo violin on top, playing again like a pretty sad / like romantic kind of melody.
Okay.
And I don't mean romantic as in like in love, romantic as in that era of violin music. And they said, well, we like it, but it sounds too sad. But the thing is, listen, they sent me an example I almost copied what they did. I mean, it wasn't plagiarism. And I'm thinking in my head, like, well, I gave you what you want, I thought. And they're like, well, change, remove the violin, change it to a piano. So I did. They finally liked it. But this was a horror story because it was going back and forth for like a few weeks. And when
you had other shit to do, didn't you?
What's that?
You had other shit to do, didn't you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the guy told me initially, hey, I'm like a film student, and we need this like sooner the better. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? This is taking weeks of us going back and forth. But, obviously I'm not going to say names, but that was an experience.
Yeah, I remember you showed us, like, me and Kevin, you showed us like 2 versions, and I think your original was better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then they wanted it changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's film students for you. Ha ha, Gage
that-
Stifler. Anyway.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
That brings it back to like the whole communication thing, though.
Exactly. See? And that's why it's so important. Communication.
Exactly. Everything goes back to number 1.
That is correct. Communication, guys. Again, most people don't realize it, but that's super important.
Yeah.
Number 1, communication. Number 2, see number 1. Number 3, see number 1.
Yep. All of the above.
Yes.
I would say another one that was a little unfortunate. Not sure I'd call it a horror story, but I had someone contact me. They had a Minecraft server, right? And they had an advertisement, like 45 seconds. And he said, well, how much is it going to cost? I said, well, 50. He's like, oh, well, it's only like 45 seconds. And I'm like, I know, but that's the minimum I charge. He's like, well, interesting. And when someone says interesting, you know that they don't agree with you and they don't really like it.
Yeah.
I said, okay, so what kind of vibe are you going for? He's like, well, what are you thinking? And I'm like, well, wait a minute. The reason I asked you is because, okay, whatever. So I said epic. And when he placed the order, I have a questionnaire, right? Like, what instruments do you want? That's optional. What mood are you going for? What medium is it, right? A video game, a film, a feature film, short film, what have you. And he just put, like, game for the descriptor there. And for the mood, he said, you described it as epic.
Oh.
And I'm like, wait, what? So I spend all these hours composing and producing. I send it to him. And then as soon as I send it, it's like, okay, he's online. It's like, oh, so now he's checking the order. And by the way, in Fiverr, if I send you something, in 3 days, it will automatically be marked as complete and send me the payment. Otherwise, you can hit request revision or accept, and then that'll instantly give me the payment. Nothing. I heard literally nothing from him. No, and he didn't leave a review. And no tip. No nothing.
Yeah.
So again, that was kind of, not a horror story, but it's like, come on, really? The kind of people you deal with.
Didn't he make you wait the 3 days? Just like
Yeah, he literally...
What a jerk.
I swear, if you had to accept on Fiverr, he would not have accepted. He just would have took it and ran.
What if the piece that you created was so good that he died?
I had not considered that. But hey, that goes back to communication, right?
Tell me that you're dying from it, and then we're good to go. Now I understand. Hit accept.
Exactly.
You don't need that money now. Like, you're fine.
Exactly.
In fact, make a bigger order now. Like, it's fine. You're gone, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, tip me all the money in your bank account. You're not going to need it.
It's easy. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It
sounds like you didn't have much if 50 was too rich for you.
Exactly, yeah. And I think the last one that I really want to talk about, I mean, I could go on, but I don't want to spend all of our time on this question, was I had a director, nice guy, in working with the producer, they reached out to me. They had a movie trailer. They sent it to me, I composed, and then they're like, call me. And I'm like, oh, is that good or bad?
Oh, no.
So we set up a conference call, and they're like, hey, everything sounds great, but I want a few changes. So I took a note of the changes, sent it to the director, and the director's like, I don't hear any of those changes. Excuse me. And so what I think you have to understand is not everyone like me has a critical ear, right? So I'm like, okay, that's fine. Maybe he just didn't hear it. Maybe I should change the levels, or maybe him and I should get on another call to talk about it. I literally spent an extra 12 hours. So we're already at 8. Now we're at plus 12. So 20 hours or... Yeah. And so then it gets to the point where he wants a Discord call, and we can't get the audio to work. He's not hearing it, and I'm Googling, how do you share audio on Discord? And eventually I figure it out.
He's deaf.
No. That is not the
No,
problem.
I didn't like that song. That was...
Yeah, I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, I didn't hear the changes, dude.
No, it wasn't that. So we're on Discord.
Sure. His spidey senses
and he's
are
like,
tingling.
so we're on Discord, and I'm showing him the actual project file, and he's like, oh, that's where it is. And I'm thinking, yeah, there it is. Not to be rude or anything. But then it got to the point where he's literally just telling me, he's like, okay, add this, remove that, do this. I'm like, well,
Why don't you just make this yourself?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I kind of want to say that. And the project in FL Studio said it was 24 hours. So that's a full day sitting at the computer. And guess what? That's not accounting for the time I was not doing anything. Maybe I was thinking about it. Maybe I was writing music outside of FL. It could have been like a 2-week long endeavor. But so there was that huge time.
Yeah, I think people wasting your time is one of your biggest gripes with your whole Fiverr experience.
That's right.
Yup. People not knowing exactly what they want. Yeah.
See, number one.
Yup.
Which actually, number 4, I would say is time. Like, if you're only giving me 2 days to compose like a masterpiece, you're not going to get the masterpiece,
Yeah.
So I would say time is like, going back to your original question of like, what are things most people don't understand about the production of music? I would say time.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think they realize how much time you actually...
No.
Not just like you, but like you as in us. Like,
yes.
we have to put
music
in...
producers, yeah.
Bro, we have to put in... sometimes things flow like butter, like you can have days when you can just, but honestly, like a quarter of music production is just sitting there like, what do I do next?
Yeah, or it's outside the studio thinking or writing music or lyrics
or just getting your mental right to a place where you can actually think creatively.
Yeah, a 3-minute long piece could take weeks,
yeah,
honestly. So
speaking of masterpieces,
yes,
what would you consider your magnum opus to be out of the pieces that you've created, and where can people find it?
If you're like me, your magnum opus is never released.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's really hard to say magnum opus, because there's nothing that I feel is going to go down in time as like,
maybe not magnum opus, but like
your best.
My best.
Your personal best. That's what I mean.
Well, I produced for a feature film called Tranquil Inferno, coming out this month, actually.
Oh, nice.
It's about racism in America, more or less. Talking about the issues there. And this guy, Dr. Akita, which I actually know the actor personally, which is cool. He's the producer of the movie.
Nice.
Is giving a speech about not giving up. And the premise is, we as a community need you not to give up. Don't give up on your marriage. Don't give up on your kids. Don't give up on your families. Because if you do, that's why our communities aren't as strong as they should be. So good message overall. But I composed something that I believe to be super, super like sobering. It's like the mood gets serious. It's like from funny to just, dang, this is like super serious now. And when I started composing it, I was like, this is going to be too sad, but I kind of read on top of it. Things didn't fall into perfect 4/4 timing, which if you know anything about me, I'm a perfect 4/4 kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, this scene's too emotional for that. And where can you find it? On YouTube, I have a private playlist, which I can make, public, called Chiocca Portfolio. It's just a lot of my good work.
Okay.
I would say another one, kind of narrowing it down here, is there's a company called Authvia. They do payment conversations. So you'll get a text from a bot saying, hey, your payment for rent is due. Do you want to pay it?
Oh, yeah.
You just type yes, and it's like, okay, we've paid it. So that's the company. But they reached out to me and they said, hey, we have an advertisement. We were hoping you could compose not only for the advertisement, but for our logo, which is, it's kind of like it's
like
hard
a little
to
jingle for the animated logo? Okay.
Yeah, it's like, it looks like a satellite sending a signal to the left, then to the right, and then their logo is drawn, by hand in the middle, basically.
That's neat.
That's how I could describe it in words anyway. You'd have to see it, but...
Yeah.
Yo, dead ass. This is amazing. I think that your jingle... Bro, when you first played that to me, I was freaking out because that jingle sounds like something on like a Sprint commercial.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy how professional that sounds. It's such a little thing, but you're right. That one little... I wasn't thinking of that. That's a great...
Yeah. So when I made this jingle and I sent it out, which I'm not trying to brag. I think it was awesome too. So, thanks for saying that, Aaron. I sent it out and they're like, dang, we love this. Please do our next ad, because they had 2. And so I did. But if you think about jingles, Corey, when you hear like the jingle for AT&T, it's AT&T.
Right, yeah.
So what I've done is not only given them music, I've defined their identity as a company, as a corporate unit,
Yeah.
And so that was awesome. I'd say those 2 things are really high up there. And there's been so many others that, again, not trying to be pretentious, but that I'm really passionate about and I think are awesome. But You know, those two. And I would say the third one, this is the last. I made a song called Beautiful. It's a piano and string.
I listened to it earlier.
I was gonna say that Beautiful, I think, is one of your best released, like, Luke Chiocca songs.
Yeah, and that was for me only, so it came from the heart. You can find it on YouTube. It's literally just on my YouTube channel. Luke Chiocca, that's Chiocca.
Have you ever seen 2.5 Men before?
No.
Okay. Do you know about that show? Do you know what that is?
Nope.
It's a little bit of a boomer show, but it's a sitcom with Charlie Sheen and John Cryer and another kid. I don't know his name.
Mm-hmm.
But in that show, Charlie Sheen makes a very, very decent living off of being a jingle composer.
That's awesome.
So just to put it in perspective, people who actually create jingles for large companies and are successful at it, like, that's a rare happenstance.
Yeah.
And it can be very lucrative, so I've heard.
Actually, you're totally right. I Googled, because I was curious, like, what do other people charge for jingles? There's entire companies that just make jingles.
Yep.
Or logos. Dude, the guy that made, like, the Coca-Cola logo, or I think the guy that made the Pepsi logo, made, like, $100 million.
Yep.
Exactly.
Like, I could do that. Yep. I mean, probably not, but I could do that.
That's why you look at the little swirly circle and you're like, that's Bebis. Like, you know, immediately. You know what I mean?
Bebis.
Like, yeah, Bebis.
Bebis.
It just works.
You know what? I bet you could give that job to anyone on r/Spubby.
Probably, yeah. If you do it, and you do it right, and you don't fuck it up, it just works.
Mm-hmm.
Wise words from John Tron.
What's the worst logo you've ever seen?
Oh, jeez, I don't know. I don't know if I can pull one out of my ass right now that quickly. Probably the Gab Street logo. Thanks, Ty Plasman. I'm just kidding. Your logo's amazing. I appreciate it.
How about I don't know. They're all terrible. They're all
jeez.
They're all just imprints.
What about like Under Armour? Like, it's just too. I mean, I guess it's.
I think it works.
I think, honestly, when I think of bad
simple.
logos, I think of overly complicated logos.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, whenever I say UA, I think of my high school district, so I automatically hate it.
Yeah.
Upper Arlington, let's go.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha. I ran a hip hop club.
Fuck Upper Arlington. Fuck Dublin.
Yeah.
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 Straight up. Straight up. Let's go.
Little off track there, but
just slightly. It's all right. It's whatever.
Yeah.
So it goes. What kind of work are you interested in doing that you haven't found the opportunity to do yet?
Awesome question. I really.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I really like action movies, like in the music, in like epic kind of scores. The only chance I've got was someone just this week reached out to me and they want music for a video game and they want to be really epic. I'm like, yes, now's my chance. But up until right now, I've always wanted to compose for like Avengers, like a superhero movie. Like, that music is. Do you know Alan Silvestri?
I've heard the name.
Yeah, he composed for most Marvel and Avengers.
Okay.
And you know, there's other names. Danny Elfman. Yeah, Endgame, yes. He did
Endgame poster on my wall, everyone.
Yeah, he did Endgame and Infinity War. And I don't know if you dug into the music, but the real hero from Endgame is pretty awesome. And so is Infinity War Porch. There's a song called Porch. It's at the very end when Thanos is at his porch.
Yeah.
And that music is so awesome and emotional, and some of it's epic, some of it's sad. And I've just not had the opportunity because that's really big budget films. And I'm getting, middle to low budget clients right now, which is understandable.
Right.
But until I make it there...
Well, I don't know. On the grand scheme of things, it's all low budget. Like,
yeah.
You could be making $10,000+ for a movie. Potentially.
Oh, easily. Oh, that's nothing, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so once you get to, like, up there, you're making, like, $1 million.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Columbus filmmakers, get cracking. Straight up, reach out to this man.
Honestly, yeah, dude. Columbus creatives Columbus has a thriving film community.
Yes, it does.
We have a thriving sound score artist or film score artist. Like, link up.
Let him make some soundscapes for you, my
Yeah,
friends.
Luke is getting clients off the internet, but like I think you guys could really make some great stuff, like with the whole real life sort of situation, like meeting up in person in the city, like hashing out ideas in person. I think you can be a lot more creative like that.
Agreed.
You could even invite them into the studio. Like, come on by.
That's true.
Let's
it's not
get
just
cooking.
online.
Yeah.
So it could be in person. Yep. I actually worked with Gage.
Okay.
Gage Stifler on the 48-hour film
That's right.
competition
Wasn't
last
that
year.
your first film score ever?
That was kind of at the intro. I mean, I guess I'd done more simple things before that, but that was one of the bigger
cool.
foot in the
Yeah,
door.
you're right, because we made like that Star Wars parody.
Yes, exactly. That was really funny.
Yeah, Darth Krypto.
Yeah. You had a lightsaber. I had like a wooden walking stick.
Yeah, you were a monk and I was a Sith Lord. And then we fought, and then you beat me, and then I offered up my vape as
as your peace offering. Yeah.
That's funny.
But the music, that was good music.
Yeah, that was good music and good footage. Shout out to Kevin, who is not here, but Kevin's a good visual artist.
Here in spirit.
Yeah.
Who do you look up to as a producer?
I actually look up a lot to the classics, and even people who do simple scores. Hans Zimmer.
Okay.
Interstellar. He's done Interstellar, for example. Pirates of the Caribbean, and all those amazing soundtracks. I'd say John Williams, because what movie has he scored that's like not amazing?
Right.
E.T., Jaws, Star Wars.
Yeah, classics.
Star Wars is amazing soundtrack. As I said, Alan Silvestri. Tony Anderson, which, by the way, sorry if I'm naming all the names, but Tony Anderson, he's a new and upcoming, really ambient composer, but I love ambient music. There's just pads, soundscapes, and electric guitars with tons of reverb and delay. It's like you play a note, and it's like, duh, 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 fade.
That sounds hot. You should share that with me.
I love it, yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds really cool.
So those are some of my inspirations.
Cool. All right. Can I get a Gab Street type beat?
Sure, why not? For the right price.
Let's get cracking, my friends.
Yeah.
The Gab Street type beat is going to be one note long, though.
That's funny.
I was actually thinking, like, I don't know if you still rap or if you know anyone, but that would be cool to make, like, a beat for the show, like, using it here and there or something,
Yeah. That would be really tight, actually.
I think if you collaborated with Evan Swiatecki, I think that would be a lot of fun. Had him playing piano on it.
No, wait, is he the guy that did your music?
The current, every piece of music that we have on the show has been composed by Evan Swiatecki.
See, I would love to do that, actually. So, shout out to Evan, let's connect.
Hell yeah. That's exciting.
Make a new Gab Street theme song, or make, like, a different one,
Yeah. Something that can be used for different messages and such.
Yeah.
Because we always need more tracks for everything, so.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Gab Street jingles.
Yes, Gab Street jingles. You could, we could get some work done for Gab Street Eats.
Oh,
straight up.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
For real.
Gab Street Eats?
I'll tell you about that later.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Is that, like, not in the...
That's in the public sphere. It's been announced.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Sorry, I'm unfamiliar.
No, that's cool. Go back and listen to the episode with Ty Moore or Dan Seabury if you want to go hear the full description of Gab Street Eats, because I don't feel like doing the whole description right now.
Dude, Gab Street Eats is going to be fire, though.
It's going to be really fun. We're going to be going around. I'll give you a quick synopsis. We're going to be going around to restaurants in Columbus once COVID is over. So we're doing all the preparation now so we can hit the ground running.
Sure.
It's going to be me, Marty McFly, Danny Rogers working on the production team and being a producer, as well as Revolter Pictures going to be helping us film it.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing a style of show that's kind of like Fuck That's Delicious with Action Bronson, but it's specifically highlighting Columbus restaurants and black-owned businesses and socially responsible businesses that need to be highlighted more. And Marty's going to be doing like the culinary questions and more of the technical stuff, and I'm going to be doing more of the interviews and stuff like that. So
Sure.
it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to need a lot of music for it, and we're going to need a logo for it and all that. So
That's really cool.
We're going to try and make it homegrown. We're going to try and get every single aspect of the production to be Columbus made. So No Fiverr logos for us this time.
Nice.
It'd be very cool.
Hell yeah.
One more update before we wrap. Oh, one more question before we wrap up. Actually,
Sure.
What are your goals for 2020 and beyond?
Well, quite honestly, it's the journey for me that's really important. So, one day I would love to, as a career, score big name movies. I'd love for you to go to a Marvel Studios movie and see in the credits music by Luke Chiocca or something like that.
That would be so tight.
That'd be sweet.
Which I think is a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta stay faithful, because if I'm not, I might as well just stop now. But I think it's important, by the way, music creators, and because you asked me about my goals, to realize part of that journey is going to require a lot of things you don't want to do,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to require a lot of non-music things. I just got struck with unemployment as well.
Yeah.
But I've been applying not necessarily to music studios, but to banks, say as like a teller or something like that.
Okay.
Because guys, livelihood is very important, and it doesn't have to just come from music. Eventually it will. But I hear people all the time saying, Luke, what's your plan B? Like, music might not work. And the answer is there is no plan B. Plan A means that I do stuff that's maybe not music related. As I said, like getting a job at a bank, making a livable wage, and then music is my other income. So I would say those are my goals, really to do this as a career, hopefully one day, and helping people along the journey.
Cool. Yeah,
forward.
One thing I've been told by a few people is that you got to get in your regular people bag before you...
Okay.
Like, before you use that to fund the dreams.
Your regular people bag.
It's your regular people bag, dude.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people don't eat off of their creativity.
No.
And you have to invest money first into that.
Okay, I respect your opinion, but my plan is to just open up like 10 different credit cards. I call them the rap game loans, okay?
Okay. Continue. I'd like to hear how this plays out.
I'm going to buy a whole bunch of computer monitors and drills with my credit card debt and resell them at pawn shops, and then use that money to film $1,000 music videos.
Genius.
I'm also going to pay money that I don't own to get myself on the radio. Because the radio is where you make it. Okay? You need to get on the radio.
Dear God. I'm sorry, audience.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've just like had all this like energy building up.
The meme energy has been...
Gab Street is where I release my energy.
Alright, I'll have you on more often. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, fuck that. No, you don't want me on.
I'm messing around, boy.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about some stuff that I shouldn't talk about.
Do some more ad-libs, bro. There we go.
That-
Thank you.
Bruh.
I think those are the first ones we've gotten in like 20 episodes.
Yeah.
So thank you. I appreciate that.
For sure.
One more thing that I'm going to mention before we wrap up here. Technically, this episode drops on my birthday, August 26th.
Oh, damn.
Run those CCCG votes up. I don't know how many votes it's going to have at this point in time, because we are recording on the 16th of August at the moment. But voting for the CCCG, which is a $500 prize to 4 different creatives, the 4 people with the top votes will receive $500 each. These are people who have suffered as a result of the COVID crisis, who were eating off of their music and their event throwing. That cannot happen at the moment. Mm-hmm. So, if you want to either donate up until the 30th, or if you want to vote before the 30th, as of this episode dropping, you have 4 more days to do so. And we will be announcing the winners next week on this show only. The only way you will be able to access who won is through that episode, or if people tell you about it. So, that being said, tune into that episode next week.
Yep.
How can people find and support you, Luke?
I would say Instagram.
Okay.
YouTube. And, as you guys were saying, if you're a local filmmaker, reach out to me, because there's a chance that we could make something great. My YouTube and Instagram handle and all that is literally just my first and last name, Luke Chiocca. Again, I'll spell that out because it's kind of weird. Chiocca.
Awesome. Do you have any last minute shout outs to make?
I do not.
You sure? We can come up
Oh, I wanted to plug myself really quick.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just started a YouTube channel. It's nothing like
fair
Luke's.
enough.
It's just some I don't really know what it is. It's just for my own personal amusement.
A public journal?
Yeah. Kind of a public journal, actually. Yeah, public journal. My YouTube handle is a phrase: break the script. 3 words, spaces. Break the script. Yeah, I have a video up. I've got 2 subscribers. You can make it 3 if you so choose.
I mean, hey, that's just at the time of recording.
Yes.
Exactly.
Might be more now.
It might be more.
Yeah. Also, when this drops, it'll be your birthday. So happy birthday, my friend.
Yes, happy
Thank
birthday.
you. I appreciate that. I will be the big 2-0.
Oh
so,
yeah, not a baby anymore.
Yep.
You're
no
a grown
longer a
man.
teenager. I gotta go on r/teenagers and post that I'm leaving.
Yo, actually, by the way, I do have a shout out.
Yes.
And that is my brother, Joseph Cabby.
Okay.
Not my blood brother, but my brother, and, Aaron knows him. Zay
Yeah.
Krypto knows him. His Instagram is currently Where's Joseph with an F, not a PH. His YouTube is just Joseph with an F, instead of a PH. And he's helped me through a lot. Other than music, he's just a really good brother.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Joseph's a great guy. I need to hit him up. It's been too long since I've talked to him.
brother in Christ, a musician, a brother.
Oh yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, shout out to Joseph. Actually, yeah, shout out to Kevin.
Yeah.
He was gonna be here.
But he's not ready to release. He's not ready to be a publicly known person, and I respect that.
I take that as a compliment to the show.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, yeah. So Kevin may never show his face, but if he ever does and becomes someone that people know about, you heard about him here first, folks.
Correct.
And by the way, Kevin, you should probably say who he
Kevin
is.
Chiocca.
Yeah,
Kevin
he's
Chiocca.
my filmmaking brother.
Yes, and real life brother. He's almost my brother. These guys are almost my
he's your
brothers.
brother.
Yeah, he's my brother.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for listening this week. Go vote on CCCG for your favorite creative who you think deserves the $500.
Yep.
There are 24 applicants, I think. I probably got that wrong. Whatever. You can access the applications publicly through the voting form and read through all of them. Thank you for listening this
Thanks,
week.
guys.
Announcement for the winners next week, and we will see you then 6 a.m. sharp.
Hell yeah.